This is Sirach chapter 12 verse 10 says, never trust thy enemy. Okay, so like I said, you're not meant to be trusting them. Okay, so for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Okay, it never goes away. Okay, so they seem like they changed, and they're better morally now, and all this kind of stupid shit that you make excuses. How they've changed their ways. Okay, no, it's still in them. Okay, but this just helps. Really, it's an agenda pushed by the elites, man. Because if the elites, if their masters didn't tell them to be more accepting of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans more than you was, then it wouldn't have forwarded the agenda which the elites needed to push. Because all our governments today, they all say, oh yeah, you gotta treat people equally and all kind of shit, but racism is still a thing. Okay, whether or not it's spoken or not. Okay, just the method of enslavement has changed, but it's still a method of enslavement. Okay, one that poses less resistance by those who are enslaved, man. You're willing slaves. Okay, they're happy to work and live in this system. Okay, there's many reasons why things have turned out the way they have, but none of it has been to the real benefit of you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. Okay. It says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. So like I said, it's still in them, man. They still think it. They still say it. Okay, you are a lesser human being on the planet to them. Okay, you're proverbs and bywords, man. That's what we are to these guys, man. Okay, we're somehow blots and inconveniences on the earth. They despise us, man. But here it is, man. The so-called white man is the wickedest of all, right? So set him not by thee, lest when he have overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked whereof. Okay, so you're meant to remember all the shit that he's done. Okay, and through this wisdom, knoweth that he hasn't really changed. All he's done is change his appearance to you. Okay, but inwardly he's still the same vile creature, man. Okay, regardless of what he says, regardless of certain of his actions. Okay, ingrained in him is this bitterness towards us, man. Okay, ingrained in his spirit is bitterness towards us. Okay, and that goes all the way back to Jacob and Esau from the womb. Okay, so it's in them, man. There ain't no changing that. Okay, but like I said, you want to beg the so-called white man for everything and want to be friends with him because you think you're moving on in the scheme of things, man. But really, man, you're just being hand in hand, man. You're gonna be destroyed with them. Okay. It says, who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh a wild beast? Okay, and like I said, we keep telling you out there on the highways and byways, man, who your enemies are. Okay, and yet, you wanna run around with these guys. Okay, but we ain't good. When the judgment comes to you, man, that'll be it, man, and we ain't gonna feel sorry, man, because we've been telling you this whole time. Okay, we're out here warning you, and yet you neglect to hear us. So that's on you, man. Okay. This is Jeremiah chapter 23. Chapter 2, verse 33. All right. And okay, it reads here. It says, why trimmest thou thy way to seek love? Okay, here the so-called white man's done all this badness to you, man, and yet you're still sucking up to him, trying to be his friend. Okay, and conforming your ways so that it's pleasing to them. If anything, it should be the fucking other way around, surely. because they should feel bad for all that shit that they've done. Okay, and a lot of people say, oh yeah, that was awful, but you know, actions speak louder than words at the end of the day. Okay, they ain't done nothing, man. They ain't trying to do nothing. Okay, they want to seem sad and upset about it, but they ain't upset about it, not really. Okay, because they've all benefited from all the atrocities that they've done to our people, man. And they ain't gonna give none of that up. Okay, so why trimmest thou way to seek love? Therefore hast thou also taught the wicked one thy ways. Okay, you're not meant to be conforming. Okay, we're meant to be governed by the ways of Yahweh Shai. Okay, we're meant to be seeking His love. Okay, and yet you seek your enemy's love. You're crazy, man. Now, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 15 says, that which have been is now, and that which is to be have already been, and God requireth that which is past. Okay, so the only person that wants to forget about all the atrocities the so-called white man did to Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Hispanics, Negroes, and Native Americans, man. Because the Most High ain't forgetting shit. The Most High are going to require all that wickedness that has been done to our people, and the Lord's going to bring judgment upon them. Okay, He ain't trying to be no one's friend. Okay, He's going to destroy them. Okay, and you're all meant to be praying for that, man, that the Most High comes and brings judgment against them. Okay, that's what you're meant to be doing, calling upon the name of the Lord. Okay, but you guys don't want to do that, man. Like I said, this whole Independence Day, this isn't for us, man. This ain't about us. Okay, we are no more than slaves in His kingdom. Okay, because that is where we've been placed. Okay, that is our judgment for our wickedness against the Heavenly Father. Okay, this is why we're in this predicament. Okay, and this is all contained here in Revelation, Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, which I'm going to read now. Right, it says, the fruit of thy land, this is from verse 33. So the fruit of thy land and all thy labours shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt only be oppressed and crushed always. Okay, we're always oppressed. We're always being oppressed. That's why you can't, get into altercation with a policeman. Most likely you'll get shot. Okay, most likely you'll get shot. Now, it doesn't happen to so-called white people on that scale. Okay, because we're an actual target, man. Okay, we're an actual target. Okay, and all our hard work and all our hard labor that we endure in this kingdom brings us very little. Okay, but the people that do benefit of it are these corporations that we work for, i.e. the so-called white man and his economy. That's who it benefits. But Jake find it hard to pay rent, to put food on the table, man. And they might have 2-3 jobs. Okay, so it just goes to show, man, this is nothing but oppression here. Okay, and we're here to serve, man, and to go through hardship. This is not our rest at all, man. Okay, we're in captivity. Okay, so that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot onto the top of thy head. Okay, we've got all kinds of ailments out here, right? So the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation whither thou nor thy fathers have known, and thou shalt serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations whither the Lord shall lead thee. Okay, so no matter where it is that we are, okay, all nations talk shit about us, man. All of them. So thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locusts shall consume it. Okay, other people consume our labors, man. Okay, we don't get to reap no real benefit from our labor. Okay, so thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Okay, and I'm going to drop down to 49. Okay, I'm going to skip through bits and pieces of this, right? So the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Okay, and that represents the so-called white man. Okay, his emblem, if you want to call it an emblem, is the eagle. Okay, and he takes that wherever he goes, right? It says a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand, and it's not the case that we don't understand the words or the language he's speaking, but what he means, what he means when he says things. Okay, because he will say one thing but mean another thing, so it's confusing. Therefore, if you don't understand what he really is saying, okay, that's why he kind of speaks in code, and you have to decipher it, man, and find out what he means. Okay, but it's been nothing but badness. He speaks all these good things, but it's been nothing but evil towards us. Okay. So a nation of fierce countenance, we shall not regard the persons of old, nor shew favour to the young. And no better example than that than during slavery, man. He didn't give a fuck about us, young, old, children. He didn't care. Man, woman, didn't care. Fed babies to alligators, tore families apart. Just to name a few. Okay? And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And we are destroyed. You niggas, Hispanics, Native Americans, man, the majority of you don't even know who the fuck you are. Labeling yourselves Americans and Afro-Americans and all this kind of shit. Okay, that's not who you are. Okay, your true identity has been hid from you all this time by him. It's been beaten out of you, man. Okay, because who you really are the children of Israel from the 12 tribes. But hey, if you want to believe that you're American, man, you can die as an American, man. Okay, you're meant to be turning unto the Lord thy God, our God, which is Yahweh, the God of Israel. Okay, turning to Yahweh Shai, our Savior, man. Okay. Jumping down to 64. Where am I? Right. So these are all prophecies that have come to pass on our people, man, and they're explaining certain things that are happening in the end times. Okay, this is the condition that we're in. And this is why life is never good for us. Okay, this is an explanation of all that. It's a sign. Okay. It says, and the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay, so we've been scattered, but ultimately we're in the dominion under the so-called white man, regardless of where we are. Okay, because he rules the whole earth. Okay, but we're amongst all these different nations, man, and we're always at the bottom of their societies. Okay, it says among these nations thou shalt find no ease. Okay, there is no ease in America, man. There is no glory in America for us, right? So neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart and failing eyes and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in a doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. Okay? That's how Jake lives, man. In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and at even thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Okay, this is talking about the transatlantic slave trade, man, because we never went into the land of Egypt in ships, in slavery. Okay, this word Egypt means bondage, which means slavery. Okay, but when did we go in ships? That was when we went to America and, Caribbean, Britain, that whole trading system. That is when this occurred. Okay, identifying us to be the Israelites, man. Okay, we're in the land of our captivity. It says, by the way where I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again, which is talking about our homeland, Israel. And there shall ye see